we met in the spring of '93 as I was in post-production with Cliffhanger, and then we got to know each other, and I actually invited her to the first screening at Carolco of Cliffhanger. And I was very nervous because I was really thinking of her as this kind of a maker of character-driven artistic dramas, and I looked at myself kind of like I'm just this action guy. But I took the risk to bring her to that first screening with Mario. I was very nervous that she was going to think that I'm an idiot, but she loved the film and she was just mesmerized by it, and she was like, I want to do a movie like this. Then Mario had acquired a pirate movie called Cutthroat Island. Mario approached me and said, I want to do a real classic, like a 1940s Errol Flynn pirate movie. And I was like, that's awesome. It's like, that's every little boy's dream. And now we have to remember, we are years before Pirates of the Caribbean. So this was, nobody has done really something like this in decades.
And writing those millions of dollar checks for screenplays, this was the norm at that time. It wasn't a matter of development. It was a matter of, here, you have an idea, Shane Black. Here is $3 million. Here's $4 million, Joe Esterhaus. And it was a badge of honor to have paid big money for these scripts, even if they never got made. The script for Cutthroat Island made its way to Michael Douglas in 1992. And Douglas had actually already turned it down 6 times. He finally agreed to it with Mario Casar's, dogged pursuit of him.
I thought it was perfect timing to make a pirate pictures. It's been a long time. And I had Michael Douglas to play the part and Renny Harlin to direct, and the location set up, budget, everything. But then all of a sudden, Renny gets married to Geena Davis. Geena was in the movie, supposed to be in the movie.
And then completely unexpectedly, one day, Michael's agent called me out of the blue and said, Michael doesn't want to do the movie anymore. He doesn't like the script anymore. And the feeling was like the script had, now that Geena was in it, that it was somehow favoring her too much.
When Michael Douglas left Cutthroat Island, every entertainment reporter, every trade paper talked about it. That, Douglas jumps ship, quote unquote, and for the film itself, predicting some kind of a doom scenario, which was massively unfair.
It was really a horrendous situation for us, because now we had deals to make the movie, Geena and I. Now we were left without the engine of the movie, the male star. So we said we want to pull out as well. Went to Mario and said we want to get out of this movie. And Mario said, no way, you have a deal. If you break the deal, I'll sue you. And I remember us crying in fear and feeling like we've been completely left on our own. And the situation at this point, financially, at Carolco was, as far as I could tell, and I was very much inside there, was that despite the fact that the company had made movies like Terminator 2 and Cliffhanger and Basic Instinct and Stargate and numerous commercial hit films like Total Recall with Schwarzenegger, the company had ran into financial trouble. And I remember vividly that Mario said that they had only money to make one more movie. Mario said, I've sold the movie, I have the money to make this movie. I can't take that money and make some other movie. So the company is going down. Obviously, if this movie, Cutthroat Island, is a ginormous hit, it could save the company. But the company, this is our last movie. We're not making any other movie. This is our last movie. And you're making it. And it was a harsh reality for a young filmmaker, realizing that Mario, who I regarded as a friend, and still do today, and there's no hard feelings, but he was threatening to sue us if we pulled out of the movie.
It had to be made. There was no out. There was no way to step back from the production at all, at least for Mario Kassar. So in order to keep things going, he was selling off distribution rights for some very high-end Carolco films, including Showgirls, and using that money to pour into the budget of Cutthroat Island.
So we set out to try to make it as good as possible and as strong as possible. We said we need a new writer. To keeping this in mind, you don't want to pay a big male star anymore. And since Michael Douglas has pulled out, there's no second choice. Nobody is going to say like, oh, well, I'll take that movie that Michael Douglas doesn't want to make and I'll make it in terms of big stars. So we knew that in a way, Geena had to carry it. So we had to write a very strong character for her. Yet Carolco had no money to hire a new writer. So we said, what are we going to do? They said, just shoot what you have. But they said, but this is tailor-made for Michael Douglas, and it doesn't make sense then if Geena is carrying the movie. She's not going to, you know, be the damsel in distress for some unknown male actor. It doesn't make sense. Geena and I personally paid for a writer. And I remember it vividly. We wanted the best possible writer, and we took the Oscar winner of Shakespeare in Love, Mark Norman. It didn't go so well. We were paying him a fortune. We spent $850,000 of our very own money on the script. That's how badly we wanted it to be good. We needed to find the best possible actor who still had value as a recognizable actor and was a really great talent. Then we started thinking about Matthew Modine, and he was a respected, great actor and had the frame for it and had the passion for it.
And for their evil pirate, they cast Frank Langella, who you just couldn't do better than that, and knew how to fence and was an athletic guy and had, of course, the wonderful Dracula scowl that he could count on whenever he needed to project evil and evil thoughts and plans.
And I always say, your heroes are only as good as your villains. If your villain is not strong and intelligent and powerful, then your hero is worth much less.
Being a director is very much a confidence game, and he was bigger than life, and he had a kind of confidence that made you believe that he could take all of these elements, all of these different departments, and all these different kinds of characters, and make an epic pirate movie. He used to always say that if you build it, you must blow it up, or something like that. And we did. You know, everything that was built was blown up.
Renny has assembled fantastic crew and stunt people. The stunt coordinator was Vic Armstrong. Vic's stunt double for Geena was actually a male Italian circus acrobat who was phenomenal. You know, he would fall off things and somersaults and, you know, land in sword fighting positions and anything, all that fabulous stuff.
But there was nothing like, you know, nothing had prepared me for the destruction of Kingston, Jamaica. You know, it was kind of, as people who work on film know, that you kind of, it's out of sequence. Even a sequence like that is shot in over a number of days, and so it's hard when you're doing it to quite know which part when you're riding full throttle, where that sequence will end up.
Then all the daytime stuff, a lot of the daytime stuff was done in Thailand, whether we were on a desert island or sailing the seas for real, then we had different ships there, or different ship there that could actually sail for real. But the whole building of the ships was just a whole story of its own. We went to Indonesia, where we found these giant fishing ships that they still in those days built out of wood, a very special method. We're able to modify those to make them look like pirate ships, because starting from scratch and building a ship would have been absolutely impossible.
When everybody left, I had the pirate ship all to myself, and so I started training on the ship, rigging ropes and swinging from one side of the ship to the other, from mast to mast, because I wanted to be able to do those things. Now, I was doing those things unsupervised, and, you know, probably could have gotten a lot of trouble, and, you know, perhaps even really injured myself doing it. I wanted to be able to present things to Renny that he would say, "You can't do that, that's impossible." And then I would be able to say, "No, I can, watch."
So the post-production period really got stretched out, and the film went from a summer release to a Christmas release.
What the public doesn't maybe understand is that The most expensive time to release movies is Christmas. Summer is the second most, but Christmas season, because all the big studio family movies come out during Christmas season, and advertising time is most expensive during Christmas season. And it's extremely competitive because there's at least half a dozen movies that are competing for the spot in the sun.
They spent nothing to promote it. It opened terribly, it didn't do nothing. So, too bad. Years later comes pirate movies, right? Caribbean, 1, 2, 3, and they all make a lot of money. Fine, maybe I was too much ahead of my time, maybe I made a mistake. Doesn't matter, I made the movie.
There was nothing pretentious. We weren't trying to reinvent cinema with Cutthroat Island. We were trying to celebrate the kind of pirate movies people had made in the past, perhaps improve upon it and celebrate it. We were making a fun, celebratory pirate movie, and that's all we were trying to do.
Renny Harlin really has been unfairly blamed, I think, for the destruction of the company. Because Mario Kassar does not even blame Renny in the production. There were so many factors going on. Bookkeeping, certain things that were in the red, other things that were in the black that were not enough to make up for those losses, because Carolco, of course, they were overspending like crazy. So to target this one film really is not fair judgment.
We poured everything into it, every detail, every piece of the music and the colors and the light and the editing, and we just had to live that whole fall knowing that the baby is stillborn. When the baby comes out, it's gonna go nowhere. The baby doesn't have a chance to even take its first breath. That happens in the movie business, but that's the truth why nobody ever saw Cutthroat Island.